شورای علمای پاکستان اعلام کرده است که اصولنامه جزایی طالبان با قرآن و سنت اسلامی همخوانی ندارد و شرعی محسوب نمی شود. این شورا در بیانیه برخی مفاد این اصولنامه را توهین به کرامت انسانی و حتی مشابه آموزه های غیر اسلامی خوانده. علمای پاکستان تفکیک جامعه به برده و آزاد به نام شریعت را نگران کننده دانسته. محمد حسن الیاس رئیس مرکز اسلامی غامدی در ایالات متحده آمریکا از ایالت دالاس با ما وصل شدن. آقای الیاس، چطور می‌بینید به این اصولنامه تازه طالبان؟ چقدر واقعا فکر می‌کنید که میتونه یک لکه ننگ، یک بدنامی کلان به همه مسلمانان باشه؟
Thank you very much, and I appreciate you taking my perspective, what Taliban just did with the penal laws and what's the Islamic perspective on that. Before coming to the point, I want you to understand the very fundamental thing. The state law can only be based on two moral principles. The first thing is that if there's a violation against someone's right, and the second thing is that if there's aggression against someone's life, wealth, or property. And if you want to grant any concession or show any leniency in the punishment, it can only be based by examination of the conduct of the crime itself, and you have to see the circumstances of offender. Beyond this limitation, no state has a right try to legislate or endure in the personal life of any citizen. You cannot dictate them about their attire. You cannot tell them what to wear, how to speak, how to conduct. This is something which is beyond the limitation of a state. Now we have to understand the complex and the perplexed situation, and you can see the confused situation of the Taliban, how they're reacting. There are tribal invaders by their nature. They claim to be connected with the Islamic jurisprudence and the Islamic thought, and now they want to run the state. What they're doing here, they're trying to impose their Sharia beliefs, which they think this is the demands from the God, this is what the scripture interpretation is, and try to make them as a state law. This is something which is totally against the Sharia. The Sharia never give a right to anyone to invade in the private lives. And you know what is the root of their action? This is a misunderstanding of one instruction given in Quran. Amal bil ma'roof wa nahi anil munkar. It means you have to encourage the good moral deeds and you have to discourage the bad moral deeds. Now what Taliban understand from this perspective is that whatever their Sharia believes, these are the ma'roofs, and now they have a right to impose these ma'roofs on the common people. This is something which is totally against the Islam, against the universal moral principles, against the justice, against the limitation of a state. Now we have to understand why Taliban are doing this thing. They think we are the conqueror of Afghanistan, we are the ruler of Afghanistan, we have that right that we can impose our Sharia belief. As a scholar, if Taliban scholarship has a different perspective of any Islamic instruction, we can disagree with them on the basis of knowledge, on the basis of reasoning. But as a head of the state, the Taliban has no right to invade in the private lives or try to impose their Sharia beliefs. They can keep their Sharia beliefs whatever they want, but they cannot impose on the public. So this is the fundamental disagreement, and they did not understand this thing because they don't see state as an state. They see state as a property. They earn that property, and then they will run how they want to run the property. And I think this is the time for the traditional scholarship to think and ponder on this point. If you don't believe in the democracy, if you allow them to invade on the basis of aggression, on the basis of the power and battle, so then these things will be happen. Anyone will come with these sort of ideas and try to impose their Sharia beliefs. And for the international community, it's also giving a very, very negative message of the Muslims. And we are telling, as a Muslim, if we get the power, this is what we will gonna do. So I think this is a time for Muslim scholarship to come forward and try to condemn the core of the Taliban principles, not try to just cosmetically say this is against Islam and what Taliban is doing, this is not aligned with the Islamic ideology. We need to condemn from the core that their rule is totally illegitimate in the eyes of Islam. No one has a right to rule any nation without the people consent. And we need to tell that the only way is a democracy.
خب طبقه بندی را زمان که شما میبینین در این اصولنامه جدید طالبان واضح دیده میشه که مردم به دو دسته تقسیم میشن، ارباب و برده. چقدر واقعا فکر میکنین که در حال حاضر در ادیان حاضر در تمام دنیا دیگر تقریبا چنین چیز نظیر داره؟ آیا فکر نمیکنین که ساخته و بافته خود طالبان است؟
Again, this is the irony, they have distributed the society into 4 segments. And the top one are the nobles, which are scholarship, the ulama, the Taliban themselves. And the least are the common people. Now, if the common person violate, they consider the state law, they commit any crime, he will be punished more. He will get the lashes. He will be persecuted. And if the noble, if the scholar did anything, they can just call him to the court and advise them and let him go. Now, the thing is that if you are persecuting on the basis of knowledge, the nobles have more knowledge, the scholarship has more knowledge, then you have to punish and convict them. The common man can also always share his excuse of ignorance.
خب حالا نقش اساسی را علمای جهان میتونه بازی بکنه با محکومیت. مثلا شما خودتان یکی از عالمان دین هستین، با مسائل دینی آشنایی دارین، وارد هستین، میایین به شدت محکوم میکنین و تکذیب میکنین آنچه که طالبان میخوان اعمال بکنن بالای مردم افغانستان را به نام قوانین اسلامی. چقدر نقش داره موضع‌گیری علمای سایر کشورهای جهان روی تصامیم و رویکردهای طالبان در این مورد به خصوص حداقل؟
Islam has nothing to do with the slavery. Islam never initiated, nor encouraged, nor endorsed slavery at all. Islam is the religion. If you read the Quran, you will find the numerous verses that, encouraging them to free the slaves, eradicate the slavery as an institution. But this is something which has its root in the society. And if there is any social problem, Islam did not just give a verdict in a one way to eradicate the thing, because this thing will go away eventually. So this is the duty of the Muslims to eradicate the slavery. So what the Taliban are saying, the nation has a right to get the slave. Islam never endorsed this thing. This is something which is totally against the Islamic principles.
حسن الیاس، رئیس مرکز اسلامی غامدی در ایالات متحده آمریکا از ایالت دالاس، سپاسگزار حضورتان در برنامه.